The modern world does not lack knowledge, nor does it lack tools, and it certainly does not lack speed. What it truly lacks is the ability to stop. Human beings today are swept into a rhythm of life in which everything demands an immediate response. Messages must be answered instantly. Opinions must be formed without delay. Emotions must be expressed publicly. And success must be demonstrated constantly. In the midst of this relentless motion, the ego grows, not because people are becoming greater, but because they are becoming more anxious. We live immersed in noise, not only the physical noise of traffic, machines, and crowded cities, but a far more dangerous kind of noise, the mental and emotional noise of social media notifications. Political outrage, media crises, professional pressure, and the persistent fear of falling behind. We are always reachable, always connected, and therefore always vulnerable to being pulled away from ourselves. In such a world, stillness is not a luxury. It is a survival skill. Many people mistakenly believe that stillness means withdrawal from life, weakness, or some vague New Age ideal reserved for monks and sages. History, philosophy, and even evolutionary biology suggest the opposite. Stillness is not an avoidance of reality. It is the necessary condition for engaging with reality wisely. In evolution, the species that survive over long periods are not always the strongest or most aggressive, but those that adapt. And adaptation is not merely about reacting quickly, it is about regulation, restraint, and the conservation of energy. This principle does not belong only to biology. It applies equally to the inner life of human beings. Across history, philosophical schools arose independently in distant regions, ancient Greece and Rome. India, China, separated by oceans, cultures, and languages, yet they arrived at strikingly similar conclusions. To master life, one must first master the inner world. The paths differed, but the destination was the same. Stillness was understood as essential for surviving and thriving in any environment. No matter how loud, chaotic, or demanding, this convergence is no coincidence. It reflects a fundamental truth about human nature. In 1654, Blaise Pascal, one of the greatest minds humanity has produced, made an observation that remains devastatingly relevant. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. This was not a moral judgment, but a diagnosis. Human beings are afraid of being alone with themselves. When external noise disappears, internal questions emerge. Who am I? What am I doing with my life? Is this the right path? Rather than confront these questions, people seek distraction, busyness, entertainment, argument, stimulation of every kind. Pascal understood that inner unrest drives people away from stillness. Yet it is precisely this refusal to pause that prevents self-understanding. Without stillness, perspective collapses. Without perspective, action becomes frantic rather than purposeful. Stillness, in this sense, is not passivity. It is the birthplace of clarity. Some of the most profound philosophical lessons do not come from books, but from ordinary observations. Consider a donkey standing motionless in a field for hours. At first glance, it may appear foolish or idle, but the donkey is not failing at life. It is fulfilling it. The animal does not compare itself to other donkeys. It does not torment itself over unrealized potential. It does not worry about productivity, reputation, or self-optimization. It simply exists. And for that creature, A day in which it remains alive and present is a successful day. Human beings, despite believing themselves more advanced, often live in a state of constant self-punishment. We compare, judge, pressure, and exhaust ourselves under standards largely imposed by society. Stillness reminds us that, like all living beings, we do not need to justify our existence through endless achievement. Sometimes, presence itself is enough. There are places where one can stand inside a footprint left more than 100 million years ago. That footprint belongs to a creature long extinct, yet its mark remains, while the names of countless emperors, conquerors, and great men have faded into obscurity. The experience is almost spiritual, not because it is mystical, but because it dismantles the human obsession with permanence. We invest enormous energy into our legacy, into being remembered, into leaving a mark on history. Yet when viewed against deep time, these ambitions reveal their fragility. This does not mean human actions are meaningless. It means their meaning lies elsewhere, not in monuments or remembrance, but in how we live while we are here. Stillness helps dissolve the fixation on legacy and redirects attention to a far more urgent question: who am I being right now? Marcus Aurelius, a man who held supreme power, carried with him a constant reminder of mortality. On a memento mori coin appeared his words: "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not pessimism. It is ego-dissolving clarity. When we remember that time is short, petty conflicts lose their grip. Trivial politics, grudges, and status games no longer deserve space. There is no room for inflated ego, only for character, responsibility, and what truly matters. Aurelius did not use stillness to escape duty. He used it to perform duty without being corrupted by power. This reveals the true nature of stillness. It does not oppose action, it purifies it. Stillness is not reserved for monks or philosophers. It is essential for hedge fund managers, Super Bowl athletes, scientists, parents, and anyone who wishes to live without being consumed by pressure. In an increasingly noisy world, stillness provides direction. It sharpens perception, clarifies priorities, and creates space for gratitude, resilience, and insight. It allows us to resist the madness of the crowd and prevents us from losing ourselves in meaningless competition. To pause in a world obsessed with speed is an act of courage. To remain silent when everything demands reaction is a form of strength. And to live without being ruled by ego is a rare kind of freedom. Stillness does not promise an easier life. It promises a clearer one. And sometimes, clarity is the most powerful thing a human being can possess.